Thank you, Madam President. My question is for the Minister representing the Minister for Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development and Local Government, Minister McCarthy. Recently, Dr Nicholas Gruen, an independent economist, handed down his report on Macquarie Point precinct, and the results were damning. Dr Gruen's report found that the Macquarie Point precinct project has the hallmarks of mismanagement and that the site selection process was hasty and partial. He found that the project will suffer a massive budget blowout, costing more than $1 billion. But given the Albanese government has stumped up $240 million of taxpayers' cash for the project, the federal government has skin in the game. Has the federal government reviewed Dr Gruen's report? Because apparently you do this all on experts. Or is the government comfortable with pouring money into a project that has an unrealistic budget, an unrealistic timeline and no social licence from the people of Tasmania?
Thank you, Senator Lambie. Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President, and I thank Senator Lambie for her question. Well, what we certainly have an interest in, President, is investing in Tasmania, Senator Lambie. Our government is very, very proud to invest in Tasmania, in particular in housing and infrastructure. And we know that the Australian government is investing not just in the urban renewal precinct at Macquarie Point, but in a range of projects announced throughout this term, including most recently the reconstruction of the Clarendon Vale Oval Pavilion, revitalisation of the Flinders Island Airport, upgrades to local roads to support 600 more homes in South Brighton, and redevelopment of the Princess Theatre and Earl Street Arts Centre in Launceston. And clearly, when we made the arrangement with the Tasmanian government, we expect, like we do with all governments, Senator Lambie, for those governments to then take responsibility for what we provide in terms of our funding arrangements with each state and territory jurisdiction.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Lambie, first supplementary.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr Gruen's report, followed by economist Saul Eslake's review of Tasmanian finances. Mr Eslake found that Tasmania's debt will be an estimated $16 billion by 2035, the worst in the country. He found that the state's poor financial position was entirely caused by government policies. Is the federal government going to review Saul Eslake's report so that it doesn't prop up the Tasmanian government's reckless decisions?
Thank you, Senator Lambie. Minister McCarthy.
Well, again, I reject the assertion of reckless decisions in terms of the federal government, Senator Lambie. We clearly want to support the people of Tasmania in every way possible, and I think I've already made clear in my previous response that any funding agreement between the Commonwealth and the Tasmanian government is now for the Tasmanian government to determine the way that funding is spent.
Minister McCarthy, please resume your seat. Senator Lambie.
Thank you. Just a point of order. I just wanted to know whether they're going to review Saul Eslake's report. It's a simple question. Yes or no?
And your question also went to debt, and I think the minister's being relevant to the question, Senator Lambie, but I'll continue to listen carefully. Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President. And I have no doubt, Senator Lambie, that you have had meetings with the Minister for Infrastructure, whom I'm sure is very ready to be able to have that meeting with you. But can I continue to point out to the Senate that this is a Tasmanian government responsibility?
Senator Lambie, second supplementary.
Wow, palming it off. Dr Gruen's report recommended renegotiating the timeline with the AFL and parts of the deal. He said it's in the interest of the Tasmanian government and the AFL. The arrogant Rockcliffe government rejected this idea. Is the federal government as reckless as the state Liberal government, or is it willing to support a renegotiation of the Macquarie Point precinct without jeopardising the funding it's already provided?
Thank you, Senator Lambie. Minister McCarthy.
Thank you, President. The Albanese Labor government is not reckless. We support state and territory jurisdictions in funding, and we certainly do with the Tasmanian people. And I think any further questions on this, I would advise to go to the Minister directly.
Thank you, Minister.